I cut Mike off in mid-melody. My apologies, Mike. Welcome to the March 8th meeting of the Rotary Club of South Jacksonville. For our Zoom members, we are happy that you can join us. Please remember to mute yourself and submit any questions or comments via chat, or unmute yourself and let us hear from you that way. We thank our greeter this morning, past President Jason Burnett. And the prayer and pledge today was supposed to be given by the star of the show, but is not available. So for this matinee, that part will be taken by me. I was looking for something that kind of cut through the news to some basics, and I found this. On this day, mend a quarrel, search out a forgotten friend. Dismiss suspicion and replace it with trust. Write a love letter, share some treasures. Give a soft answer, encourage youth. Manifest your loyalty in word or deed. Keep a promise, find the time. Forgo a grudge, forgive an enemy, listen. Apologize if you were wrong. Try to understand, cloud envy. Examine your demands on others. Think first of someone else. Appreciate, be kind, be gentle, laugh a little more. Deserve confidence. Take up arms against malice. Decry complacency. Express your gratitude. Worship your God. Gladden the heart of a child. Take pleasure in the beauty and wonder of the earth. Speak your love. Speak it again. Speak it still again. Speak it still once again. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Christy Tim, you are with us for family time. Let's welcome you.
Yes, I'm here. Okay, we have one birthday this week. Ryan Maloney celebrated his birthday yesterday on March 7th. For wedding anniversaries, Steve Madden and his wife will celebrate their 29th wedding anniversary on March 13th. And last but not least, past President B4 is celebrating 11 years as a Rotarian today on March 8th.
Very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And for our craft talk today, Bob Massey will bring us a little bit of history about Rotaract. Welcome, Bob.
Yes, I was on the schedule. Thank you, Mr. President. I was on the schedule to deliver a craft talk or an industry update, or I could choose to do the history of Rotary. And many of you know that I have spent a lot of time with Rotaract in my engagement with Rotary. And so I chose the history of Rotaract and the history of Rotaract within our club. So the first Rotaract Club was chartered on March 13, 1968 at UNC Charlotte. The anniversary of its founding is celebrated by Rotaractors the world over the second week of March, and we call it World Rotaract Week. In 1990, under the leadership of then soon-to-be South Jacksonville Rotary President Jake Olson, God rest his soul, our Rotary Club started the Rotaract Club of Florida's First Coast. We affectionately call it our Rotary Club. It was the first community-based Rotaract Club in our Rotary District 6970. Our Rotaract Club was the host club for the Rotaract International Pre-Convention in Orlando in June of '92 and appeared in the Rotaract International newsletter. The club arranged for Rotaractors across the globe to visit the Kennedy Space Center. Our Rotaract Club was recognized in 1994 as the best club in all of the United States, Canada, and Bahamas I think it's now it's the UCC, it was then the USCB. And for the Rotary year of 93-94, the best club. At that time, the club had 45 members. I wish they had that many now, but we'll address that in a moment. Our Rotary Club produced many members who became Rotary Club presidents. Robert Harris's wife, Paula, became president of San Jose Rotary. Founding member of First Coast Rotary, Robert Talley, became a president of Rotary Club of South Point, and during his year as president, he led that club to be the best, announced to be the best Rotary Club in the district. Former Rotary members who are or were members of this Rotary Club, Ryan Maloney, he's not with us today, past president Steve Madden, also not with us, and charter president Scott Keith, who has not been a member for a while. The club has served and raised money for many organizations: Big Brothers Big Sisters, Habijax, Rotary Foundation, Muscular Dystrophy, Easter Seals, Dreams Come True, Beam, Claire White Mission, Angels for Allison, Rise Against Hunger, and more, and on for over 30 years now. Raising funds in well in excess of $100,000 and probably closer to $200,000. There's reason for us to be proud of our Rotary. Our club led to the founding of other community-based Rotary clubs in the area. The Rotary Clubs of Ponte Vedra and Jacksonville Beach jointly started the Rotary Club of Jacksonville's Beaches. The Rotary Club of Jacksonville was founded by a former president of our Rotary Club, Angela Phelps-Giris. The Rotary has had a, I'd say big problem in my speech. I don't know if it's a big problem, but it's a problem that we could address. Losing Rotary members from the family of Rotary. And that's primarily because there was a gap between Rotary International saying you had to exit Rotary at age 30, and typically a 30-year-old was not really eligible to become a Rotarian. Many of those Rotary members then, when they turned age 30, left the Rotary family. Our Rotary Club decided then to adopt policies that increased that RI mandated age limit, upper age limit, from 30 to 32, and then later on to 35. The Rotary police recorded no arrests. Our Rotary Club later adopted policies that recognized Rotary actors with exemplary service, and particularly the president of the club, would be automatically qualified to join our Rotary Club as members after they aged out of Rotary. Under the leadership, once again, of addressing the problem that I see or has been known for a long time, under the leadership of past District Governor 6970 Governor Mike Dara, our Rotary Club attempted to engage this untapped age bracket of 30 to 45 with the Rotary Satellite Club model. As many of you know, that did well for a period of time, but then ultimately didn't meet our expectations. Further addressing the problem and the opportunity for improving retention of such talented young community servants, in 2019, at the RI triennial meeting, for those of you who need a moment there, that's a meeting that every 3 years we have the Council on Legislation. And at that meeting in 2019, they decided to elevate Rotary Act from being only a so-called program of Rotary to actually having the status of club membership within Rotary International, including the ability to establish a Rotary Club without a sponsor. It sounds crazy to me, but that's the way it is. This was all effective less than 2 years ago, July 1st, 2020. So in short, Rotary clubs are now very much like Rotary clubs, except they are still intended to appeal to young professionals, have lower dues, and once again, no upper age limit, unless the Rotary club decides that they want to have an upper age limit. First Coast Rotary President Lacey Clayton was with us last week, and she made us aware that their club's going to have a meet and greet on April the 14th. Still don't have the details on that as to where, but I'm hopeful that many of you will consider young professionals that you know that one day may be eligible for Rotary that could join the Rotary Club. Maybe they're already eligible to join Rotary, they just want to be in a younger club. And so be thinking about that as April 14 approaches, who you might invite, and I'm sure all of us will be invited as well. So I encourage each one of you in this room to give Rotary one chance, one piece of you. Join them for a meeting, a community service project, social. You will find out that they are wonderfully creative, exciting individuals to be around. And it always energized me every time I went. Now, my interest hasn't waned, but my time has. So I'm not spending as much time as I have, but in the past, many of you know I've dedicated my Rotary life to this club. And I really encourage you to be thinking about who you would know that would make a great Rotarian for our future. Thank you, Mr. President.
That's it. Thank you.
Yes,
Just quickly, I do have an update from Lacey.
yes.
They're having Habitat, they're doing Habitat's project on March 26th. So if anyone's interested, let me know. April 14th, as Bob said, at 6 p.m. is their meet and greet for new members. And we don't have a location yet, but we'll let you know. And then finally, there is a meeting this Thursday night at the 8th at 6 p.m. at Mellow Mushroom in Tinseltown if anyone wants to join.
Mhm. Sounds exciting.
I'm
Thank you
sorry,
very
what time
much.
is that be?
This Thursday, 6 p.m. at Tinseltown, Mellow Mushroom.
Great, thank you.
The Habitat project, when is that? When is it?
March 26th.
March 26th. That-
Well, I'll ask Patty to get this all in our next
Mhm.
update.
On our calendar.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I have a note saying that there is an update on the upcoming social at Rue. Is that true? Oh, okay, fine. That was the update. Okay, and is there anything new that we need to know about our upcoming fundraiser?
Sure.
Okay.
Just an update on Rue as well. That is Monday, March 14th at Rue right here in San Marco. It starts at 5:30. If you want to get there at 5 o'clock, you're welcome to, and have a few extra drinks with a few of us. So we look forward to, it's a great time. We had a great time last year when we did it. Bringing a guest out, bringing a colleague at work, and just it's a good time with our Bubbles and Pearls experience. Also, just as a reminder, our fundraiser this year it's Casino Royale. It's on May the 7th. It's a Saturday night. A determined location that will remain secret for now, but you will find clues in the next coming months to where it will be. But what we're also asking you to do in order to raise funds, the funds that we raise will be going to our Rotary Charities organization, which is our charities for our club. One of the events that we're doing to raise additional money is holding a silent auction. So what we'd like each member to do is give us the name of 3 people, or go out and if you will ask a business partner or somebody to donate an item. It could be any item. We're going to put some of them together and form a larger basket. But we really like to get, if you don't want to go out and do the solicitation, if you can just give us a firsthand introduction to somebody, maybe it's somebody that owns a boutique store or something like that. Danny and Lisa Marie will reach out to them and give them a 20-second spiel on how to do that. And if you have your own business, if you can do, a donation or something, nothing here, I was playing Monopoly last time and those get out jail free cards are nice. I don't know how we could arrange that. There would be something that'd be nice if we could have a get out jail free card. But I'm not going to say who could do that. I don't know, but in Monopoly, it's a great card to have. But in all seriousness, it's going to a great cause. So, we'll put something in gear, but think about it this week and try to reach out to 2 or 3 folks, and let's get those prizes together, because it just goes to build our own charities account, and we need to do this so we can have a great charities account this year and next year. Thank you.
Lori Whitmer was supposed to be here for the raffle today, but it was not in the card. Oh. And I see something here about a membership moment as well. Nope, no membership moment. Okay. All right. And now, ripped from the pages of the unauthorized biography of Paul Harris is another serialization from Bill Trayer. Please welcome Bill.
A younger club? Just curious about that. I thought this was a pretty young club. Picking up last week, we had poor Paul got a postcard from his father telling him not to jump on the back of the trains anymore. Apparently, Paul Harris, it's amazing that he didn't wind up in prison, I think, at some point in his life. So later on, he gets into the University of Vermont. And he continues with a kind of some poor choices of lifestyle. Just before this, there was a poem published about it, which I can't even read because it's obscene. Really, just before this poem was published, there was another strange incident at UVM. On Halloween Eve, a cannonball was mysteriously rolled off the edge of the campus down the main street of town, striking a cow and breaking her leg. Didn't take long for the school authorities to identify a group of suspects. Naturally, it included Paul Harris. The college newspaper made reference to this, and Paul maintained his innocence, claiming he did not have any knowledge about who bowled the cannonball down the hill, claimed he wasn't even near the school. But he did say this, which I kind of like. I was not guilty of the particular atrocity for which I was expelled, because he was expelled from the school later, but my conduct richly deserved the punishment. So the reason he was expelled was, one, there was a house down the street from the fraternity that was called Phil's. And this established resided several young women who, according to legend, by placing a $2 bill in their shoe, could help ease the tensions of being a student. It seemed that Mr. Paul Harris and friends were familiar with the location and took comfort from some of these young ladies. That was kind of the final end of that, in addition to the fact that he caught something bad from that. And so President Buckham did have to had to have him thrown out. And it was the combination of the two things, plus he was spiking the water at football games and may have been mixed up with a recent fire that destroyed the old gymnasium. So he had a long record of mischief dating all the way back to the thing I read to you last week. And they actually wrote a poem, which I'm not going to read because it's obscene too. So we'll continue with Paul's courageous life story next week.
I've got a question. When they came up with the 4-way test, he was still alive.
I can't wait to get to that. Not even halfway through.
Okay. Let's see. Casey Martin is here to introduce visitors and guests. Please welcome Casey.
Thank you, President Richard. I think we have one guest joining us today. I guess with Tamara Baker. Is that not so?
Tomorrow's guest is here.
Betsy Crawford. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Betsy, nice to see you. Okay, welcome. Jason has a guest also.
It's been so long, I forgot how to register a guest when you come in. But I have Michael Hodelink. He's been with us a couple of times and very interested in our club. And we're interested in him. And I know it sounds a little awkward to say in front of everybody, but welcome.
Okay, as a treat for you two visitors, we have a song especially designed for you guys.
Here
still working on that scatological poem about Paul Harris, but we will leave that alone and instead introduce Harlan Bost, who is going to introduce our guest today. No, there's one more thing. I was wrong. Charlie, please come up.
Thank you, President Richard. Anytime I can go ahead of Harlan Bost is a good thing. See you Sunday morning.
Make me proud. Make me proud.
I had the benefit of going to the Press-Elect's training down in Orlando this past weekend. Get the jeebers scared out of me. I came out of it okay. But one thing we talked about, and I wish Julia was here today, because the local District 6970, is really working on a plan to aid the people who are suffering in the Ukraine during this conflict. You know, Rotary is all around the world, and Ukraine has Rotary clubs, Poland has Rotary clubs, all the countries bordering the Ukraine have Rotary clubs. And our local leadership has been contacted by one of the local Rotary clubs, and the district has put together a plan to provide assistance. And on your desk, this was mentioned in the Humanitarian that I think came out. I'm going to send everybody some more information on this. But if you would take a look at the handout that I've kind of bastardized from the Rotarian about the local district's efforts. The concept here, there's so many needs going on over there, but local leadership was approached by some Rotary individuals from the neighboring countries who are really good in logistics, and particularly just logistics dealing with the medical profession. So this funding, as it's presently set up, is going to be used to purchase medical supplies to be sent over to hospitals bordering the Ukraine. Concept here will be to help people who are leaving the Ukraine who have medical needs and injuries. Rotary International is going to be having its own programs. They're working on grants for disaster release. This is something that's going to be worked on mostly within this district. So I would strongly encourage you to go online and make a donation, or if you choose to donate via check, the information on how you do that is on the back. I also manufacture a little cutoff where you can fill out the form and information they need along from your check. And it's going to be handled by the York Foundation through our district. So please, if you're passionate about assisting people in the Ukraine, and I hope that you are, please consider making a donation. And I'll be sending this out to everybody. I'm going to beat on y'all until I get you into submission. Thank you, President.
So is this tax deductible?
Yes, they can. It's a 501c3.
Thank you for that cogent and inspiring challenge. And now, Harlan.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to introduce my friend, Jessie Spradley, the Executive Director of the Northeast Florida Builders Association, better known as NEFBA. I met Jessie in 2013 when he joined NEFBA as the Director of Government Affairs. And prior to joining NEFBA, Jessie was an aide to the Honorable Representative Charles McBurney over in Tallahassee for 6 years. And one of the things NEFBA does is advocate, and Jessie will probably get into some of this, but NEFBA advocates for home building. And one of the things NEFBA would send a delegation to Tallahassee every year during the legislative session. And because of Jessie's experience there, he sort of headed up this contingent, and to see him work those back always and get us around to these various appointments with senators and legislators was quite impressive. But like most of the men in this room, Jessie married up And his wife, Nicole, and Jesse, and his 2 sons live in Jacksonville Beach. Please welcome Jessie Spradley.
Hey, everybody. Harlan, thank you for that amazing introduction as always. Harlan actually has another name at NEFBA. He's lovingly called Harlando. How did you earn that name? Was it a membership drive?
We had a gala and the theme was Cuba, I think.
There we go.
And some of us poor saps on the executive committee had to dress up. And so I adopted Orlando.
Well, I appreciate being here. I appreciate being with the Rotarians. I loved hearing the history about Rotaract. Harlan gave you a little bit of my bio, but one thing I used to do as far as community service was the Jacksonville JCs. I was president in 2014, and we worked a lot with the Rotaract on different community projects, and just a wonderful organization. Glad to see it's still going well and doing strong. Those young professional groups can be a struggle to keep people in. So it's great that y'all have opened up a pathway for them to step up and become full Rotarians. So I'm here to talk a little bit about NEFBA, a little bit about what's going on in the market. But I'm going to start off, Harlan already gave you a little bit, I guess, but that's my headshot. Who is Jessie Spradley? So I did join NEFBA in 2013. There's actually, I love that Harlan mentioned this. This lovely photo is one of our trips to Tallahassee. Who's that handsome fellow right there? But Harlan, man, the guy's a legend when you walk around the Capitol. It's always impressive. You can't miss him. And so we have Clay Yarborough chasing down the hall to say, hey. So loved having Harlan out there with us. It's one of our Christmas parties with another one of our executive members. We have a good time there at NEFBA with our 1,056 members, both builders and their associates. We have about 234 builders. It's about 820 something associates. Outside of my NEFBA life, I was an aide for Charles McBurney for 6 years in Tallahassee. I actually have a boy and a girl. So JD is the oldest at 3.5, and then Sadie, the new addition, just turned 7 months. Big Jaguar fans, the boy especially. It was his Halloween costume idea this year was Jackson DeVille. I also am, God help me, I'm a Duvalite. I born and raised here on the west side, went to school at UNF. And so me and a couple buddies bought a bus because I'm a glutton for punishment every season. And then some of the volunteering stuff I got into with the JCs, they exposed me to the river keepers, fell in with them, and I helped do monthly cleanups along McCoy's Creek. So those are some of the things I get to do outside of my life with NEFBA. But NEFBA is pretty consuming in what I do and what we're really here to talk about our builders and what's going on. So a little bit about the Northeast Florida Builders Association. We were founded in 1944. We are the state's largest building association with our 1,056 members. We are number 9 in the country right now. Back when Harlan was there, we were top 5. Unfortunately, after Harlan left, we slipped a little bit, but we're still holding in the top 10. Our mission at the Northeast Florida Builders Association is to promote policies, education, and programs that provide the opportunities for our members to succeed. What does that mean? We do that mission in 4 broad areas. One thing to mention is when you do join the Northeast Florida Builders Association, you're not just joining one association, you're joining a trio of associations. You're joining NEFBA, the Florida Home Builders Association, who's very busy right now with session ending on Friday, pushing some legislation for construction defect, and then also the National Association of Home Builders, who we're going to see several slides that they provide to us about what's going on in the market. Advocacy, that is really at the heart of what we do. It's why our builders join NEFBA. We break our advocacy down into 5 different groups. Government Affairs Committee is, again, what I did for 6 years at NEFBA. That's really what Government Affairs focus on is the horizontal, so your land development. What are the zoning codes? How are zoning codes going to affect this? How are changes to, say, the roadway width are going to affect the cost of housing? Anytime there's a new piece of legislation that is going to affect the cost of housing, we're going to look into it and try to figure out, is it going to have a net good or is it going to be harmful when it comes to affordability? We're going to give it some affordability. Outside of government affairs, we then have the political action committee. That is where we do have a PAC. We endorse candidates, we support them, provide them lumber, do everything we can to try to get candidates elected that are going to be pro our industry, pro construction, pro housing. Codes and Compliance Committee, that is where the vertical aspect of home building comes into play. Our code is a state code, so we don't do a whole lot when it comes to changing the code at this level, but we do work closely with our building officials to try as possible. It really we want to make sure it's not an adversarial relationship. The goal of the builder and the building official is to provide a safe home for the home buyer. A builder does not want to provide an unsafe home. That does no good. No one wants to get sued. Industry Issue Fund is a group of our builders and developers that we use to advocate for really big issues, big community issues. Recently, this fund has been used when we advocate for sales tax increases. We're big proponents of broad-based funding. We supported the half-cent sales tax here in Duval County for schools. We're lining up right now to support, there's a full cent sales tax initiative in St. Johns County that should get approved March 15th. They've lined this up before and disappointed us. So we'll see what happens. That'll go to a referendum in November if everything goes expected. So we'll be supporting that. And then our construction crime prevention, we work very closely with law enforcement, both the education for builders, letting them know, hey, how do you harden your site? How do you prevent from being a victim of construction crime? To also providing sting houses for DBPR to go after unlicensed contractors. We have a great relationship with our area sheriffs here in Duval. Mike Wood, fantastic. He has actually created a homes under construction division with 2 dedicated officers to that. They come to every one of our meetings and work with our builders closely to try to find ways that we can catch these folks. A lot of them are inside actors. We find is people who you hire on the short term, find out when the delivery is going to be, and magically that fridge shows up on a Thursday and it's gone Friday morning. So that is kind of our advocacy arm. Why it's important. So this is some information from National. Regulatory cost about $93,000 to every new home. So you're looking at 23% of the cost of your home is directly associated with fees like impact fees or let's say new requirements. Recently, a few years back, Duval County increased the roadway widths within neighborhoods from 20 to 24 feet. That added about $8,000 per lot onto the cost of a home when you add that asphalt. Not only that, it also made the streets unsafer because the wider the road, the faster cars travel, the faster car travel hits somebody, it isn't good. But this is kind of a quick breakdown of all the different areas that just a national average of where your costs come both during the development side and during construction. I don't know if you want me to slide deck out, I'll gladly do that if some of y'all like. Programs. So outside of our advocacy, networking is a huge part of what we do, just like this organization. These are some of our councils, specialty councils. Sales and Marketing Council is a council dedicated to the sales and marketing of homes, new homes under construction. It is different from selling an existing home. We have about 250 members of our Sales and Marketing Council. They have a monthly breakfast. I'll bring, I think our most recent speaker, Jerry Holland, who came in and spoke to us. And they do several big events a year. Custom builders and remodelers is just as it says, it's dedicated to the custom builder and remodeling world. Outside of our more production guys, most of our builders fall into this category, custom builder and remodelers. They have great meetups. I think, Harlan, you've been part of that group for a while now. Professional Women Building, this is one of our newer groups. We are actively trying to increase the number of women in construction. Right now, we have 50 members of this organization here at one of the recent socials. And then we have a young professional group as well that's geared towards, we like to say there's no age restriction. The events are just geared to the young at heart. So we actually have a cornhole tournament coming up this month. Regional councils, we do represent 7 counties in Northeast Florida. 3 of those counties, Clay County, Nassau County, and St. Johns County, all have their own councils. So those are like little NAFBAs. They have their own arms. They do their own events. They are all very busy, St. John's being our largest of these area councils. And then education. So when it comes to education at NAFBA, the flagship of what we do is our NAFBA apprenticeship program. We have nearly 400 apprentices indentured in 5 different trades. It's sheet metal, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, and carpentry. It's a 4-year program. It is free for the apprentices to go through. Their employer pays their tuition. The only thing the apprentice pays for is their books. They have classes 2 nights a week in the spring and fall. It is a wonderful program. We're actually just sent out applications Friday, and the official application window opens this Friday. So if you have any young person, yes, sir.
Jesse, Lisa Marie Winslow is a Rotarian, normally here. but
Oh, excellent.
She's been instrumental.
Huge supporter of what we do with our apprenticeship program. I don't know how much they like to have this broadcast, but Kaiser University actually donates the space for free for our apprenticeship program to have classes. We do have classes at other locations, but that is a huge chunk of the classroom hours they have are done at Kaiser University. We have to have some labs offsite because they don't necessarily have the lab space we need, but it's great classroom space. It's been a wonderful relationship. I think we've had that since 2015, I believe. Yeah. So great sponsor of ours. But again, application process is open. If you have, not just young people, just maybe someone who wants to try a new career. We do get most of our students out of high schools. We have relationships with the area high schools. We're recruiting them. As we were just talking about how we were at construction career days last week. Saw about 4,000 students come through there while we did our nail driving contest. But if you're interested in that, please go to our website. The application is posted on there. And would love to get someone in the trades. What's great about this too, again, on top of it being free, they're getting paid. It's on-the-job training. All of our apprentices start out at making 50% of a journeyman rate. We do a wage survey every year, so we know what that is. So we know that wages are going up. They will make anywhere between, I think, 18 and 20 right now, starting before it really kicks in. And they get step raises throughout the course of the program. Outside of our apprenticeship program, we have the Codes and Compliance Committee. Again, does a lot of education events, a lot of panels. We have a panel next week with our area building officials to go over what are they seeing on the ground, how we can do, what builders need to be doing to make sure they're getting their permits turned around at a good time. And then we have our Emerging Leaders Program. This is a program we created 3 years ago to help train the future leaders of our association. It's in-depth 7-day program. We space it out over the course of 7 months. So it's one day a month. They come in and every day is focused on a different aspect of our industry. We'll start them off with a DISC assessment, a personality assessment, then walk them through goals and planning, marketing, communications, and then spend several days in the field doing technical days, walking from site development all the way up to the sale of the home and financing. So it's a great program. We're in our 3rd year of this. We limit it to 15 students a year, but very proud of what we're doing with our Emerging Leaders Program. And then kind of the final part we'll talk about with NEFBA is our charitable arm. We have the Builders Care. I don't know how many people are familiar with Builders Care. Excellent. But the goal of Builders Care is to keep people in their homes. It's a lot of re-roofs and a lot of ramps. Chrissy Marcus is the director of Builders Care. And then we also have the NEFBA Charitable Fund, which funds some larger projects here in the Northeast Florida area. I think recently we funded a project for the lifeguard station to have their bathroom remodeled. Have done tiny home communities with Habitat. So it's with a great charitable outreach program. And again, if you have someone, right now the need is great for roofs in Northeast Florida. So Builders Care is very busy. All right, so that's NEFBA. Any questions kind of on the NEFBA side of the presentation? If anyone's in the industry and would like to join, please see me. We'd love to have you as a member. Or see Harlan. Harlan needs the points, honestly.
I do need one.
Yes. We do require our board to recruit 2 members a year. You know, maybe if we had a song, we could. I'm looking at you, Harlan, to make that happen.
You have to sing it better than we do.
All right, so a question I get all the time, the Human Builder Association, what are builders thinking about this year? So it's a hard one to answer because every builder is different. They all have different feelings about what's happening. I'm gonna try my best to kind of paint a picture of where the market's at, where I think we're going. But again, I'll tell you, it's always a crapshoot. Going into 2020, we were saying, oh, it's 50 chance we're going to go up, 50% chance we're going to go down. I don't think anyone in March assumed that we were going to have the year that we had in 2020, where permits just shot through the roof. And the fact that it's continued is just crazy. So let's take a quick look back at 2021. We do track permits for our 4-county area. Last year, we saw 16,138 single-family permits pulled in Northeast Florida. That is a 22% increase over 2021. And 2021 was a 24% increase over 2019. So the growth rate has just been insane on our permits. If you look at it county by county, Clay County pulled 2008 last year. That's a 43% increase over 2021. And it blows my mind when I say this. That's still not their high mark. Back in 2005, Clay County pulled 3,526 permits. So Clay County actually still has some runway to go to get back to its all-time high. But with that outer beltway coming through, we expect those permits to continue to increase in Clay County. Duval County saw 6,198%. There are slows grow at 9%, but still a healthy growth rate. We have had some turnaround issues with the Duval County Building Department. There's roughly 1,200 permits sitting in the queue waiting to be approved. So there's a big volume that they're trying to work their way through. Nassau County is in at 1,710. That's a 40% increase over the year prior. And that is the most permits ever pulled in Nassau County by a wide margin. I think the highest in 05 was 1,300. So they are having some explosive growth. And in St. Johns County, St. Johns comes in as our big boy, 6,222, just edging out Duval County. That's a 21% increase for St. Johns County. And that is also a record for them, beating out 2020, which saw 4,919 permits. So we, as you can see by the data, we are just having an explosion of building, which, especially in this industry, you start to hear that, people start to get that, oh no, are we heading towards 05 again with the numbers? This chart is supposed to try to help you feel a little bit better about that. So this is our historic chart. As you can see, we had a nice run up there in 05. That was our peak, just shy of 18,000 permits, and then the bottom fell out. And the bottom fell out for a long time. Talking to most of our builders and industry experts, the rate of building that they expect for how many homes we need to be putting online to meet demand is about 10,000. And honestly, as we continue to grow, that number is going to have to go up. Some folks say, well, really, it should probably be 12. But we've operated under the rule for the last few years. 10,000 is about where we should be to hit that mark. The problem was, because of this massive trough, we came in to that 2019 needing 40,000 additional homes. We were so far behind because we were so underbuilding during this time. Even with the increase that we've seen, we're still 30,000 homes below what the market would need if we had a straight 10,000 home a year construction rate. Now, talking to builders, some of them think this number can still go higher. Talking to suppliers, there's some questions. It's like, are you going to be able to meet that? We're going to talk about some of that as what are the concerns builders are expecting. Just in general, builder confidence is high. It's lower than it was in 2020. We maxed out our highest recorded HMI, Housing Market Index, on record was in 2020 at 90. It fell to 76 in September of last year. We're now back up to 82, but those are February numbers before Russia invaded Ukraine. So we'll see what happens in March. I would expect those numbers to tick down with what's going on geopolitically, as all of that affects how builders are feeling. Why did we fall from 90 to 76? Materials. You can see here, this national survey of builders, 44% builders reporting reduced starts and expectations. And right at the top, availability and cost of building materials is the #1 issue, closely followed by issues with labor and finding subcontractors and finally economic conditions. Again, this was from the end of last year. I would expect that market condition or the economic conditions to probably be higher now with what's going again geopolitically and what we've talked about a little bit with how y'all are trying to help with the Ukraine. So builders' concerns for 2020 or 2022. Access to lots, labor shortages, construction costs, supply shortages, development fees, impact fees, and interest rates. So we're going to just kind of take these one at a time. Access to lots. I don't have a slide for that. That's more of just a local issue. I mean, it's really a national issue. It comes down to NIMBY. Is everybody familiar with the term NIMBY? Not in my backyard. As growth has increased, we have seen lots and lots of folks out and about saying, I don't want another house in my neighborhood. I don't want to see another house in this county. There's too much traffic. And so we are not putting enough lots on the ground to meet the demand. We are burning through lots faster than they're being approved. It is just the facts. We know that. We can see the number of lots that were approved in St. Johns County. We actually conducted a study last year and found St. Johns County was over-reporting their lots by about 20,000. So they think they have more lots than they really have access to, which is a challenge. Along with that, because of COVID and the lingering effects, the time it takes to get a community approved has just drastically increased. What used to take anywhere from a year to 18 months is now taking 3 to 4 years. We've had huge issues with the Department of Environmental Protection. They assume what we call 404 permitting, which has to do with wetlands and delineating wetlands. They took that process over in 2020, at the end of 2020, and we went from being able to approve about 500 permits a year statewide to approving 7. So the brakes have been slammed on that. It's gotten so bad, you have state officials telling us, well, if you think you don't have impacts, just don't apply for determination. That's not where you want to be. So because of the volume that's happening, you're seeing delays in getting new lots approved. On to labor. There are over 400,000 open construction jobs in the United States right now. So there's not enough people to fill all positions. We're doing what we can with our apprenticeship program. But as you know, one program is not going to be enough. It really does take a concerted effort. It also is just getting people willing to take on those jobs and getting to think about construction trades. Again, that's why we did the construction career days, is trying to get younger folks to consider a career in construction and how that could benefit their families. Next up, materials. Residential construction materials have gone through the roof. We saw a 20% increase last year on overall construction materials. Some of the big outliers were paint. Your exterior paint's now up 30%, interior, I think, in the high 20s. Lumber is the one that everyone talks about. I like to pick on OSB because it's an easy product to understand. OSB during the summer hit $50 a sheet. It then dropped back down to $20, $25 a sheet, and now we're back to $49 a sheet. So it's and we can see this was from what you would consider a good time. The volatility that you see in the market is insane. That was from September of last year, where we were feeling better. The price had dropped on our board footage. We are now here. So that was our trough back in September. So we're basically almost back to where we were in summer, April of 2021. So the lumber prices are spiking again and again. What's going on in the world? We don't see that changing. Other materials to mention, steel, metals, all up. Steel's up 123%. And that has caused a lot of problems as far as cost. And it's more than just cost. What we're seeing is just shortages. The ability to get product. Supply chain issues has become a huge challenge. Here's just a quick builders reporting shortages. Appliances are leader, framing lumber right behind that. You can see my friend OSB is up there in the top. Locally, we've polled our builders to see why they're having their worst problems. And these are kind of the real battles: framing, tie downs, windows and sliders. Don't try to change windows if you don't have to right now. Windows, I think, are on like a 28-week delay. Garage doors, you're looking at 6 months on a garage door. And God help you if you want something specialty. Epoxy and paint were weird. When paint's finally come off the slicks, we had problems with that because of the freeze in Texas. The freeze in Texas shut down production of a bunch of resin plants, and they just have not been able to catch up. And then we see some of the trades: HVAC rough, electrical rough. So these are kind of the ones right now in our area that we're seeing the biggest problems with as far as getting those trades or getting those supplies into Northeast Florida. Fees and regulations. We already touched on fees and regulations a little bit when we were talking about the government affairs side. This is just a handy dandy chart of impact fees. If you're not familiar with an impact fee is something that the builder pays, although really it's y'all pay it. Whoever buys the home is going to pay that fee. It's passed right on to the home builder and then put into your mortgage. So you're paying interest on the tax that the government charges you. Not a fan of impact fees. I think it's a terrible way to collect money for the services provided. But that is how it's one of the few tools that local governments have to collect money. You can see here, St. Johns County is our big winner. They are up, and this is an average. They actually have a fee If you build over 5,000 square feet, that's near $26,000 a home. The rest of the counties come in about 15,000. Duval's our most affordable county when it comes to fees. They only have a transportation impact fee, and they call it a mobility fee. It's hovering around 2,900. They are set to increase theirs, and most of the counties are currently either have just recently increased it or are about to do an increase. And finally, interest rates. Interest rates were more concerning at the beginning of the year, but now again, we were hearing they were set to go up because of international concerns. They might be holding those low. We'll keep an eye on that because that's really been the one kind of saving grace for builders is the interest rates have stayed low, so that has kept mortgages flowing. Takeaway, there's a lot of new hurdles for new construction. I talked to a builder last week about, he's like, I'm having to work 5 times as hard to get the same job done. Went from chasing supplies, chasing labor. It is not an easy business to get into. But Jacksonville is posed for great growth. We mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but Jacksonville grew 4 times the national average and is growing faster than the state average. We expect right now permitting, without, again, a major catastrophe, permitting to continue on this rate for another 8 to 10 years. And again, here's a slide just kind of breaking down our population growth where we compare as a MSA, we're growing faster than the national average. And then this is why we have confidence in why we're going to continue to build homes, put homes on the ground, because we're just not building enough. This is our population adjusted single family starts. We're building half of the homes we should be building nationally. So we're way behind the 8 ball, which is a huge challenge when it comes to housing affordability. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to solve the housing affordability, you have to solve the supply side. And that is my presentation. Hopefully I didn't roll through that too quickly. All right, I got a few questions.
This may not be within your area, but I know there's been a lot of controversy about insurance on homes and how it's getting boosted up because of roofing regulations and scrupulous, unscrupulous.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is. It's kind of come onto our radar recently locally, but it's been on the state radar for a while. There's, I think, rumors there's going to be a special session regarding it. One reason we felt it through Builders Care because we got a spike of roofing calls from people with perfectly good roofs, but are going to lose their insurance because they can't afford their roof. And while we want to help them, we have people who have honest, real roofing issues, have real damage that's affecting the envelope of the home and making that home unlivable. And it's like, gosh, who do you have to get? We have to prioritize those people. So now we're trying to shift through who has a real problem, who needs to protect their home and keep them in it, and who has this manufactured problem from the insurance side. I can't tell you what the answer is going to be. I wish I could.
With the uncertainty in pricing, are any builders going to cost plus?
Yes.
What percentage of them?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I know several builders will put it in their contracts now that if the prices increase on materials over a certain percentage, they're going to have to do a readjustment of the pricing.
How about decrease? Could that negotiate decrease also? I mean, that's the idea of cost plus.
Theoretically, but we need things to actually go down. And unfortunately, even when lumber went down, we saw steel go up. So it's, again, that was from September. It was about $30,000 on your average home is directly related to cost increase over the last year.
You alluded to affordability.
Yes.
That, of course, is the overarching
Oh, yeah.
issue.
It's a dangerous word to even say sometimes. We call it workforce housing. We've championed affordable legislation. One success story we had in St. Johns County was we were able to approve affordable zoning designation for homes that were priced. Originally it was 210, but then we ended up at 240. But if a certain percentage of the homes in the community were going to be priced at 240, they would get an increased density. So an additional 2 homes per acre, which then helps the builder meet that price mark. The challenge we found now is getting it approved. So even if people, so we got the zoning approved, but now you can't get the individual projects approved because folks come out and fight it and worry about traffic in schools. So that makes it challenging to then deliver that product when you can't even get the community approved.
National Association, looks like you're affiliated with, have you seen anything from them recently regarding economic forecasts over, on a national scale over the,
Not,
whatever you want to talk about?
not
I'm thinking over
since-
the couple of years.
so nationally, they were forecasting kind of a leveling off, but that was, again, it's pre-Ukraine. I was listening to their podcast earlier to try to get the latest from them, and they're still kind of waiting. Well, we don't quite know yet how this is going to affect us as far as demand. We assume it's going to be a negative impact on materials. Any disruption to the supply chain internationally is going to affect us locally. It's just how the world works now. But as far as a new updated forecast now, other than I'll bet this last slide here, this came out of our national for us, and they were projecting growth for us over the next 8 to 10 years.
Are there many suppliers internationally that come to the US for builders?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Deals or-
it's incredible. You learn a lot about the supply chain and where your things come from when it starts to go wrong. Appliances, for example, a lot of appliances flew through Mexico, and we discovered that because they had one of the longest COVID shutdowns. It slowed down our appliance flow. And same with, I didn't realize how much of our paint is generated out of Texas and the materials that go into it. So we get to learn about all these little components as things go wrong.
Excuse me, Jesse, back to affordability. Talk about the Sadowski Fund just quick, because we're about out of time. But it seems like from my trips to Tallahassee, that's one of the things that we always want. The Sadowski Fund seemed to be a fund that was funded but then robbed by the legislators to feed other things. But the Sadowski Fund would devote money to.
Yes. So that was set up in the 90s after Bill Sadowski, right? It was a fund created with a dock stamp tax. Both the realtors and builders were in favor of this. It would generate hundreds of millions of dollars every year. It was supposed to fund 2 programs, the SHIP program and the SALE program. SHIP helps single-family housing, new home buyer programs, and then SALE is for apartments. But starting in the early 2000s, the legislature decided that would make, rather than this dedicated source of funding for affordable housing, we're going to use it for other stuff. And they kept backfilling their shortfalls out of the Sadowski Fund. As of 2 years ago, a deal was struck between builders, realtors, and the legislator, basically to let them sweep a certain portion of it every year. Like, as long as you give us 30% of it, you take the rest. So it's a little bit of a deal with the devil. It does secure funding from Sadowski every year. So it's become less of a focus when we're there. We've just admitted, we know you're going to take it. Here's the portion you can have. Let us have the rest for affordable housing. But it is disappointing because over the course of the lifetime, they've stolen over $1 billion in affordable housing funds. That again could have helped with our affordable housing issue here in Florida.
Just one more.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Isn't it the same with the impact fees? I mean, impact fees are supposed to, the governmental bodies come along and say, we need these impact fees for roads, for schools, for all this stuff, but it winds up in the general fund, kind of like exactly.
We try, we have to watch them. That's why the courts exist. So we catch them using the funds in ways that they're not supposed to. So impact fees, it's strictly there to help add capacity. You're not supposed to do maintenance with it. You're definitely not supposed to pay salaries with it. It is there to increase the capacity of the roads, the schools, whatever the fee is being collected for. I will say locally, they've been pretty good. There's been a couple of issues with some of the smaller municipalities getting clever, and then you have to check them. But over in outside of Northeast Florida, there's definitely some lawsuits regarding how those funds have been used.
Thank you so much. There you go. Here is the certificate that will remind you that we have given a small amount to the Rotary Foundation in your name in appreciation for being with us today and for the eradication of polio. Thank you again. Next week, our speaker will be IVU JEA Wastewater Systems. Interesting. We end our meeting with our membership motto, each one bring one. Please join me in our Rotary mottos.
First about self, one heart, and others to serve best.